the vaccines over to Africa, we stick them in a bunch of poor babies' arms, and we go, oh, look, 8,000 babies developed polio from the polio vaccine. Let's just pull that polio vaccine, and we'll revamp it and bring it back out next year and see how many babies die from that. Right. Okay? They don't quarantine, they don't shut down, they fucking vaccinate. And they vaccinate first strain, and if you look, on occasion, these vaccines are fucking awful. They fail. So I really hate this whole third clinical trial of a vaccine. Are you guys, we're not, it's not written that we win.
Right. I mean, it's not, I mean, I don't know what stage you're at. You gotta fight regardless.
Of course. But, of course. And then, further, you know, I don't know if you get as worked up as I do, but I get so worked up I can't sleep.
No, I'm the same way. No, it's and the way that we're dealing with, I mean, this is really a psychological operation. So at this point, it's intended to have all these contrary things happening all at the same time and to be very upsetting. That's the whole nature of it. The news media has really lost their minds. I mean, if you look, you can see how entrenched some people are politically into their mindset, and it's just adversarial now. There's really no more thinking. They're the enemy. It's a dialectic. It's us against them, and you're on one side or the other, and it just becomes more and more acute as we go, you know?
Well, that's why I'm really encouraging my friends to talk to me still, right? Because a lot of people have more or less in one way or another, you know, shown that they're just not willing to discuss politics with me to any degree, because I'm very knowledgeable. And if given an opportunity, I will rant, right? And so, the people don't approach me about this sort of thing anymore unless they want to know something,
right?
Which which is a little bit empowering, and so it's very good because then you can try to help direct them towards the truth. But it's very hard because what comes to you, so the most influential people are young men.
Right.
They're the ones that you can go, hey man, are you really looking at this? Are you as smart as you say you are? Because you just said some really dumb shit without thinking about nothing. Right. You just repeated CNN or whatever bullshit you watched on your phone for fucking 2 minutes. And you know, you're not growing, you're obviously not growing. Right. You have defined the terms of what you're willing to think of. And that type of insult, or that type of approach towards a young person that might admire you or think highly of you on one or another, will get them kind of intrigued. And then if you have a legitimate argument to back it up, which I assume you would never, you know, approach somebody without a good argument, you know, you can often open someone's eyes up. Like, listen, are you really for the left? Do you know what the left stands for? Do you know how wicked they are in all of its nature? And the only thing that keeps the right from being wicked are a handful of people. And because I am so biased and I do watch the right, because I don't want to look, I do look at the wickedness of CNN, right, all the time.
Right.
And I try to expose as much as I can, but at the same time, I'm not over there, like, consuming that media. I don't want lies, so I'm consuming the right kind of media. So, I don't know if you watch the brainwashed. I don't know how many good people are in their group.
Yeah, you don't. And I mean, that's, when you watch CNN and MSNBC, you have to be totally imbibed with this idea about the whole white guilt. Like, you know, so as they're going on, and it's becoming this kind of like weird, like, you know, the whole racial paradigm is so sickening that you have to be on the side of.
They don't want to wake up the white people in America. They want to suppress the white people in America, because what they're afraid of is if the American people decide to revolt, if the people who are currently revolting won't be a part of the revolt, because it wouldn't be real,
right?
Until people like me and you joined.
Well, I mean, if you
were joining,
I would be some
motherfuckers on that team, and not a bunch of standing around fucking chanting some bullshit, a new religion to George Floyd and fucking video social media.
Right. Well, we were talking about there's like two different standards here where you're racist already because you're white, you're racist. And if you're black, you can't be a racist. And it's really, if you were looking at it, it's really the master-slave dialectic.
They're redefining racism.
Right.
They're not allowing it to go both ways, as it has always been.
You can't defend your race.
Right.
You can't defend your race because you're racist.
It's true. If you're white, you're racist. If you're black, you can never be racist.
No, that's what they're saying.
You know the truth about racism because you saw it from black people.
Right.
And what Trump did with the riots, because, Trump really could have said, no, the states are being ridiculous. Because they were baiting it. They said, this is what the states said.
It was a baiting.
And I don't know, the states are smart, but they were baiting them. They said, we're not going to back this. This is totally legitimate rioting. All right? Trump could have gone in right away and said, day 3, that shit's over. We said in the city, that's it. Right? But instead, what he wants to do, which is God's work, he wants to expose their stupid dum-dum. So he says, no, I'll let what you think is right reign. Because I really am a conservative. I believe that we govern ourselves, and you govern the state of Oregon, for example.
Right. No, if you look at it, I don't know about your city. I don't know about your city, but we are absolutely not having any problems at all. I mean, it's just the normal, regular kind of criminal events, the typical kind of things.
That's because the truth of the riots are the small groups of insiders, right, that are backed up by opportunistic criminals and some really hardcore ghetto thug motherfuckers, okay?
And they have a hardcore
Marxists to spread the truth of Antifa, but to get themselves on TV.
Right.
And there ain't nothing wrong with that, really. Like, opportunistic criminals exist, okay? We already knew that. What's happening, I think, if there's a little bit of incitement inside that community, gangsters are feeling free to be more gangsters.
Right.
And that's why we're seeing the increase in killings.
It's a criminal culture. It's a criminal culture, right.
Well, I mean, CNN broadcasts Trump is bad, Trump is racist, all day, every 2 minutes, And so do a number of other stations that we all know are owned by similar people, which were also probably involved with the Epstein, And know this, that Trump was deeply involved with Epstein financially, and they are essentially two of the same kind of individuals. Epstein, for the most part, let me try to clarify this, is a master embezzler.
Right.
Epstein is a spy and an embezzler, and he is simply he's a laborer, more or less, for a bigger entity, and he's probably one of many that did and do what he does.
Yeah, I thought maybe there was more Epsteins and more Epstein Islands kind of spread out there that we don't know.
Of course. By the time you see one rat, that means there's got to be 2, right?
Right.
Come on. Right. It's disgusting. It's a breeding thing, And Hollywood has been slowly slipping it into our face for quite some time, and somehow the schools are involved too.
Right.
That somehow democratic socialist agenda somehow suits right now individuals who may be pedophiles. It's just absurd.
Well, my one buddy was saying that they're trying to
exposes the party for what it really is.
Right.
Because I see 3 parties here. I see Donald Trump as his own fucking party.
Right.
Donald Trump is his own movement. It's much greater than Black Lives Matter. It always has been, it always will be. Black Lives Matter is a nasty little parasite.
Well, you know what? We were talking about Black Lives Matter, and it comes out that it enters the kind of the field of battle. And I noticed that they had the little 5-year-old boy who was shot in the head by this monster. Now people are starting to post that say White Lives Matter. So now you're going to have the dialectic. You're going to have the White Lives Matter against the Black Lives Matter. You have the black militia groups against the white militia groups, and so we're splitting the populace up based on how they look and on their skin tone, And then once you get that going, now we have to wear masks,
That's what Black Lives Matter was really deeply all about all along.
Right.
And I'll tell you what sucks about Black Lives Matter. The worst thing about it, right, is there are many black people, right, who have reason to complain about this very legitimate
Right.
cause that originated with the Democratic Party, developed into the KKK, never switched sides of the schools like to teach the students. Somehow the fucking KKK became Republican.
Right.
No.
Abraham Lincoln was...
The KKK became something different. The KKK became Democratic Party.
Right.
Okay? People didn't realize it. And now they push abortion down the throats of black families. They push welfare down the throats of black families. They fucking push race down the throats of black families. They point out inequality wherever they can. If they can, they will, and they're going to make it a bigger deal than it needs to be. Alright? They've somehow brainwashed the very same individuals who they once held captive into thinking that somehow they are their savior.
Right.
When these individuals, by the most part, do not give two fucks about any of the policies or agendas inside the party.
Right.
And for whatever reason, because of things like, let's combat issues like school choice, which seems kind of silly thing to combat, unless you want to just keep your regular old population.
Well, we were talking about that. We were talking about the culture of Black America in the 1950s and 60s. They were really on even keel. If you look at Martin Luther King Jr. and and they went from
because their core values are all the same as ours, and they always have been.
Right.
But they're
a Baptist church. That's what Martin Luther King Jr. was. When Kennedy got shot, at the same time, Martin Luther King Jr. got shot, and Malcolm X got shot. So at that point, when they wiped that whole thing, the whole movement got wiped out at that point, and they kind of took it over with Lyndon Baines Johnson, and he introduced the idea of, even if you have bad grades, you have affirmative action that can send you to university in front of all these other people that might have had good grades. I mean, that's when they started to really pad them and insulate the black community and give them handouts.
So I put some thought into something a talk show host had brought up, which was that the top 3% of American, top 3% in American public schools turn out to be Asian American. Right.
So racist.
And more specifically, first and second generation Asian Americans. They were able to narrow it down. Right. Okay, and I'm sure they have subgroups because Asia is very diverse. However, India, China, and Japan, or anybody of Oriental descent that you see in school, you're probably thinking that person's focused. They have a lot of respect for their family, a lot of respect for their family values. You would not behave in such a fashion that you were a supremacist. Now, I always like to think that I'm better than everybody else because it is part of the human condition. Okay? So, basically, you can't help yourself.
You're trying to be the best. Be best.
All men fall short of the glory of God. So, when you are that conceited, of course you're going to gravitate to the things that remind you of you.
Right.
How could you not? So white people like white people, Asian people like Asian people. There's nothing wrong with
Shocker. Big shocker, right?
Nothing at all. It's a normal thing, right? It's not a big shocker.
People outside the United States must be looking in on us as we're going through this insanity, and they must think that we have lost our marbles. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure they do. Australia is having the Great Reset. You see, Australia is now turning right. You see, Great Britain is turning right. And America is also turning right. Because the time is nigh, my friend.
Yeah.
People here's the thing is when the idea that Republicans are not generous people, right? You can only project that as long as you seem to be more generous. But when everything you do is just absolute fucking evil,
right?
Eventually, it will have to super left.
Right, it can't even be.
And that's what's happening in Australia. Australia's having a research. And a lot of, now listen, here's what's hard, right? Is you pray to God and say, God, let me accept your plan. Let's move forward, right? Let me be a portrayer of truth if I can, and let those who want to hear me hear me.
Right.
And then let me, and then you say, Lord, just expose this in the light of the world, reset the system.
Yep. I'm hoping, hey Jacob, I'm hoping that he's going after the Federal Reserve next. I'm hoping that they get us back on sound money. That's what I'm hoping.
Trump has been shitting all over the Federal Reserve.
Yep.
He is. What do you think he just did? He said, oh, well, no more payroll tax for the rest of the year. What? Who did he have to make that deal with? Or did he just say it?
Right.
Not making a deal.
Right.
That's right. Because right.
It's time for us to redefine these. We've been under the boot of these elitists and these central banks for so long.
He hit the bank where it wanted to be hit.
Right.
He hit the bank hard. And you know what? There's going to be so much more sales tax for the states after big business goes whoopee-doo and starts swinging their dick around and fucking spending all their money before the year's over.
Well, remember,
that's what's going to happen is all of a sudden big business is going to go, oh my God, is this for real? And somebody else is going to come along and go, yeah, it's for real. And big business is going to go, oh, I've been kind of sleeping because I've been busy and then I have this major slowdown. But you're telling me I don't have to pay whatever. Any expenses for labor for the next, 150 days? Oh my God, we got to build it now. All of it. Everything we can build. As much as we can build. Every permitting process, everything go.
Yep. I can feel it in the construction. In construction, I can feel the reduction of these, the OSHA restrictions and all the regulations they had. I can literally feel it
me too.
in the atmosphere.
And I think that that's where all the other presidents don't understand what Donald Trump has always understood. Right? When you build into a community, you build up the community.
Right.
That's why you received that Ellis Island Award, because of the Trump Tower. Trump moving into that community
made the whole
first of all drove a bunch of bad riffraff out.
Right.
Okay? He raised the price so that a lot of wealthy came in, and those that were, living decent, right, decent enough, all the property values went up, their lifestyles changed, they were integrated with white people more, and so it was a different. Now those properties are worth a fortune. But in the process, you had to build parks, you had to build schools.
Right.
They took over 10 blocks. So we're like, well, you can't take over 10 blocks. You have to take over 40 blocks. And if you take over 40 blocks and you renovate all of it, you get to keep your profits or whatnot, but it has to be better. And he did it. That's why he received the award. And he understood that trickle-down system, it really works because people are happy when they're working. People are really happy when they're not working. Before coronavirus happened,
well, the trickle-down system...
2 million people would die.
The trickle-down system is the only system there is. Otherwise it's government payouts and you're just a communist. Ultimately, somebody has to make the next best, trinket and make a bunch of money and then pay a bunch of people and then and invest that money into different new ideas and the money trickles down.
How about this? The person who makes the next, affordable green transportation will be the richest motherfucker on earth one day. Nikola Tesla.
Right.
When Nikola Tesla is 80, he's going to be like George Soros. He's going to be a superpower. It's true. He'll be behind the scenes superpower, dude. He already is a superpower in a sense. Because of what he does is influence probably 1 billion people on this planet. How close to it. Some ridiculous number. You have enough power, so everybody's like, ooh, I know it. You know what I mean?
You have to reward people who take the risk, and then...
He came out and said it. He said the pyramids were built by aliens. He straight up said it. He just was like, no! Where?
Right. We're getting on to...
No.
It's hard to imagine how they built those. They were built by... We were surmising that maybe it was an ancient like Atlantean, like pre-flood civilization of giants, or somebody else built it.
Listen, my God hasn't changed, okay? But understand this. As a man, you could say, if given a long enough lifespan, okay, and even if you had an organized enough society, let's terraform this planet over here, okay, so that we can live on it. And then let's go over there and integrate ourselves with the life that's there. Pass on our gene, continue on our legacy and our heritage, right? One way or another. Okay? Earth has got a very unique thing about it. All the DNA and all the life is the same. It's all got the same code. You know? And don't forget that.
It is very, very sophisticated and very... It has a lot of information. I mean, each individual cell... I mean, what makes the genome decide, well, this cell is going to be bone, and this cell is going to be muscle, and this cell is going to be nerve, and this cell is going to be veins, and blood, you know,
right.
It's just absolutely...
So me and you and our concept of God and our understanding of God is still on the same page. It's amazing.
Right.
It's amazing. And the more you do, the more amazing it is.
Yeah.
It's not less amazing. And everybody gets around, they go, oh my God, it's less amazing. We're a bunch of monkeys. No. But my point is that there was an immensely powerful technology back in our old days.
It seems like
back in the ancient days.
Right.
And we underestimate how old some things are and overestimate how old other things are. And primitive man might not have been so primitive. To assume that the Egyptians didn't know about a pulley and a wheel is fucking stupid.
Right.
That's my opinion. Yeah.
Right.
That's fucking stupid. These motherfuckers were sophisticated. Chances are they used levees and docks and a manner of deadweights and pulleys and all sorts of shit.
Right.
You know? We can just get this deadweight to budge an inch. That pulley will fucking lift that whole giant block. Oh yeah? You don't think the Egyptians could figure it out? Why? Because you didn't find a pulley?
Well, I think that something definitely happened to Egypt.
You know?
It definitely got, it definitely hit some bumps in the road of civilization there. It definitely got wiped out, you know, for one reason or another. So it stands to reason that
I think we're much older than we want to give ourselves credit for. And right now they say that we're 250,000 years old. Do you remember when we were just graduating high school? Do you know what the number was? 80,000.
Right.
That's how old mankind was when we graduated. Mankind's 80,000 years old.
That was the theory. That was the running theory.
We walked past monkey 80,000 years ago. Now, what's pretty remarkable is we know about 25,000 years ago, the Homo sapien, their skull expanded. Their skull expanded.
Now, I think that I laugh at this idea that, I mean, I know that as humans that we have an effect on the planet, but I don't think that we should shut down our progression through innovation and technology and advancing civilization. I think that what we need to do is get out into the solar system. We need to get to Mars. We need to get to Jupiter. We need to look at these other moons. These other moons that are going around the other planets. They have all the raw minerals and resources we could ever need for 100,000 years. You know, and we could.
Well, I mean, listen. The very first thing is the moon, right? Because it's the closest thing. And if you notice, it's not like the top of their stuff, you know, it's not really on the top of their list. But I think it's still incredibly unachievable. It's just like...
Well, do you think that they did? Do you think they landed on the moon yet? Because some people are saying that is bullshit. There's no way they landed that aluminum foil bag.
Here's what I know.
It was like an aluminum foil tank.
They landed on the moon. Neil Armstrong believes that they landed on the moon.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Neil Armstrong believes that shit.
Well, that flag, it's either there or it isn't.
Believes that man landed on the moon.
Right.
So much he knocked the motherfucker out. He said, oh, the moon landing was fake. Neil Armstrong, right hook, boom, out. 30 years old. Says, no, I'm not going to listen to your shit.
Right. If he got blasted into the atmosphere and he went to the moon, then he went to the moon, so.
If he went to the moon, I'll tell you, if we were on the moon, it's not much of a deception that they even deceived the actors. You know what I mean?
Right.
But what I think is that our pioneer spirit doesn't have a fortitude for our own value of life for now.
Right.
I think that young men especially, were much more embracing that pioneer spirit in the same essence that an individual who goes to war would.
Right.
I think we still glorify death and honor, and death and pioneership, and pioneering as an honorable death, not just the loss of life.
Right.
Right. And
I think that
less.
It appears to me that they went. It looks like to me like they went up there and they landed on the moon and they got back and they almost died. That's my kind of theory, that they almost died. They barely made it. They don't want to try it again right away. So the ship looked like it was falling apart. By the time they even got there, it wasn't going good,
Dude, it was gut-wrenching. That's what it was. It was a bunch of, we're like the first dog in space. We are flying so far from the Earth. And they say we can slingshot around this thing if we boost right at this point. Right. Alright, and then it'll send us back there.
And it won't take 3 months. Right.
Right. And it was done with a bunch of analog computers that printed out paper information. Their information had to be decoded because the computer didn't even speak the same language that we speak.
Did you ever look at how NASA took their rover and how the rover decouples from the shuttle, and then it gets into the lower atmosphere, and then it bursts open and it inflates this giant balloon that's like a mat, like a rubber mat that it bounces. Did you see how they landed that rover? Just the inflated ball bounces, out of the atmosphere and then rolls to a stop, and then rover comes out. I was blown away about that. I could not believe it.
Oh yeah, it's pretty incredible, right?
I know.
And then in addition, it's like really just an incredible thing. And then they sent that probe to Europa. Right. It landed in a similar fashion. Was able to go around, got a little heat probe.
Right.
It drills a hole in the ice crust of Europa.
That's crazy. That's our destiny. That's
interesting.
I think that's where it goes. I mean, people want to talk about the kingdom of God, and I think eventually we end up out there. That's where it all goes. All the materials, all the iron, all the...
Here's what I was trying to say is that, what if we're the results of that? Because it's all evolution. Look, we're already looking that way, and that's obviously the direction that we look. So this is actually what mankind does. Mankind consumes all the resources around it. So much so, they have to look everywhere else. Okay? And the more that mankind dominates an area, the more they dominate the globe, the more dense they get. Okay? And so they start looking around them for their pioneer spirit, look where they have always looked at a fascination and curiosity, which is up into the stars. Right. And so, the Mayans knew 80,000 years of observation in their Mayan calendars. They say that it would take 80,000 years of observation.
Right. So we're talking about the procession of the equinox from one constellation to the next.
Right. It's not just the equinox, it's equinox between ages, because the Mayan calendar understood that in the 12 astrological signs of the zodiac, to have a full comprehension of the entire zodiac, right, that an individual would either have to be on multiple points of the earth throughout a number of ages that last 1,400 years.
And pass the information down successfully, too. So, yeah.
Right. Exactly. And not just pass it down, but you have to have an understanding of both hemispheres.
Right.
Okay? So it's not just passing it down. It's passing it down until you met the other guy, then absorbing everything he's got. He absorbs everything he got and passing it to multiple individuals into your culture to make sure that it lives on even further. And I mean, that's very sophisticated,
right?
You know. So the idea of the Zodiac, just to start, astounds me. Like, well, where the fuck did we get this understanding? This is just really astounding.
Right.
It's because we already knew it. We already knew it when we got here. All right, when we got here, the place was... First time we went and sent the probe over here, there was a bunch of dinosaurs on the motherfucker. We're like, oh no, it's just uninhabitable. It just seems like too much work. We've got other places closer that we're working on. We're not going to bother with it. What we're going to do is, plan B, we've got an asteroid we'll pull from this belt on the outside of the solar system and just suck it right into it.
Right.
So we're going to send another probe and another... And I'm speaking English here because that's what this is where I'm from, you know.
Right.
And this is the short life I have. But they said we're just going to suck one right out of that asteroid belt, plow it in there, and what we suspect is that those fucking lizards will be gone. You know?
So it's pretty simple.
Yeah, man. What is that is our natural evolution is to look at the stars. I thought of this like 10 years ago.
Right.
And, you know, something interesting I've seen recently is do you know that Olmec in Central America have they worshipped a god that was an eagle with a snake in its foot and also in its mouth.
Right. Well, also Mexico has that as their flag too. Just pointing that out. But yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
Right. Well, so
I don't know if it goes back to Quetzalcoatl. I don't want to tell the end.
One of the many depictions of one of the Indian gods, and I'm not sure exactly which one, but one of the more popular gods in reliefs is the exact same image, even though it's more primitive. It seems obvious that the Mayans are more primitive in some of their artwork, especially if you compare it to India. Like, oh yeah, India really had it going up.
Right.
You know, their fucking sculptures and shit are amazing. Like, I don't know why we talk about the pyramids at all, like, because it's like, it's night and day.
Right.
You know? The pyramids, I think, are something more practical, and I do, because the thing with the pyramid is it doesn't make sense for them to put all that effort into just a monument for a single king and a tomb for that king.
Right.
And I know how conceited kings could be, but this is just, you know, pretty extravagant.
Right.
So I think it was symbolic of something, and it might have even served some kind of purpose.
Yeah, by this one fellow I was talking on here, Sonnenthal, he was discussing how they were starting to look at the pyramids like maybe it was pre-Diluvian. So it was older than we thought, and the modern Egyptians who came along and found it and built on top of it may not have been responsible for its building. Maybe they added some to it, and you know, but so that's a question.
How about that as a theory for every culture around the world that has a magnificent palace?
Just
some
abandoned
absurd place, because this is how I feel about it. Right, is that ancient man came across these ruins of even more ancient man. And they said, wow.
Right.
We're going to build on top of this. We're going to preserve this.
This is our
the shape of this is we're going to make this last. This is amazing.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
So, listen, let's talk some more. Are you free this weekend?
Yeah, man, I'm going to be free till Sunday, probably early, and then I'll be free again.
Yeah, because we're doing we got this podcast going, and we've been just trying to get all kinds of different insight on the podcast. So I'd definitely like to interview you more and get some more.
Here's what I'd like is if you decide upon a list of questions for a podcast.
Send it to you first.
We wanted to have a little, back and forth, right? Because I've got some questions for you too. But I swear to God, I just feel overwhelmed in general.
Yeah.
With
it's a weird time because
more clearly for what they are.
Right. I mean, right now,
I never trusted them.
Yeah. No, right now it's a weird time because you know, the light, you know, the darker it gets, the brighter the light gets. So it's like there's a kind of there's a contrasting of worldviews. You know, so some people are going headlong into to not like this false knowledge, or it's kind of like an insanity when you're so misinformed that you're going different directions and chasing your tail. Like, you know, that's what a lot of these. I found a place in my life where I'm happy. You know, I don't want to lose it. Exactly.
That's part of my bias. You know.
You gotta stay. You got
people that I'm around. Right. You know, I just love them. You know.
Living well is the best revenge. So you can't let the insanity of the politics and these like weird racial race war groups and the neo-Marxist groups that are trying to overturn your country. You got to go home and take care of your family and do better than ever. You know, that's how we fight. You know. But we're not going to engage them on their level and get out in the gutter with them. We're going to go home and make sure our kids are well informed and we pass on our knowledge to them. You know. So.
Oh, right. I understand that most people can only do what they can do right there.
Right.
You know. But what I've done is I remember you doing this a lot, and I started doing it, which is, I did never think I would do it, which is you would go to, say, like a gas station or something, not just start a conversation with somebody and relax by talking to somebody about whatever. Okay, but you would before you left the store, you would say, you know, this is the truth, and you're all about dum-dum die. You know, maybe you wouldn't say the dum-dum part, but, you know, you'd be like, hey, let me just shout out some truth before I leave here.
Yeah, man.
You know? Yeah, and I've been doing that. And I thought at first, you know, that was like...
You could feel it hit you.
Too much.
But everyone's being so quiet and so careful and so safe, and no one wants to stir the pot, or, you know, sometimes you just got to shatter that silence and be like, you know what, everybody, boom, and you can feel it coming up. Everybody, and you're doing them a favor because everybody on some level wants to say it or have the courage, and we just have to encourage each other by showing everybody, you know what, I'm not going to do it.
We're partying small groups of people with Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Right.
And one day I had a lady in a parking lot ask me, what's that mean? What do you mean by that? Like, why do you say that? I said, what it means is that people in power and politics worship Satan and fucking rape little babies. And they're so powerful that we vote for them. We idolize them.
Right. Right. They got us right by our celebrity. Like, they got us all like we got us all starstruck when they come in the room. They got us all trying to sign autographs. It's really pathetic, you know, that we as a human race have this kind of need to adulate and worship people, and they have that down to a science, you know. But yeah, they could take any of us and just put us in the right public relations firm, and we would all be famous, and people would be following us around and taking pictures. And it's just, I think we need to examine our hearts as a people, really, you know, and what we value, you know. So if I see my kids, I see a lot of the celebrities that I need.
Well, back to that Asian population in the school system, you know what it is? It's no welfare in the home. Instead of sending their elderly off to die, their elderly die in the home with them.
Right.
Their value of life is completely altered forever.
Right, I got you.
The way that they view things. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The way that they hold one another accountable inside their households is completely different.
They're almost sharing the same soul, you know, if you think about that much closeness. It's like, yeah, they're carrying on, like they're replacing next generation with a facsimile. And we're all, in America, we're just falling apart.
Don't forget, you have to take care of me when I die.
I got you.
Okay? Don't forget that. And you're going to be the best at what you do. Because I've only got so many years to mold you, and I understand that. So I'm going to be the most scrutinous at the time when other people are the least scrutinous. Yeah.
Sure.
We're like, seriously. You know, and so Asian people, their culture always respects their elderly. I mean, immensely. it's not. What's funny is if you pull the elderly out of the equation, they just fall apart. Yeah. Okay? Because it's the elderly that teach it. And they teach it the most brutal way is they die.
Right.
In the household. In America, us hiding our death is a scary thing. Believe me, it's a scary thing that's going to lead down a dark road. We have to have our death in our home.
Right.
Yeah, I know it sounds terrible.
No, it's true. I mean, I've been thinking about that. A lot of these older people that were locked up in old folks' homes, and they're separated from their family, and then all this stuff happens, and now they're cut off from everyone in these last moments. It's just terrible. I mean, I think we need to check that. Like, we have this kind of unspeakable psychological dread of death that overcomes everything. You know, that it drives us. It drives people with the madness that we're like fruit flies with a 24-hour life cycle.
It's exactly what they're doing right now.
Right.
You know, right now, the whole herd culture, right, is geared on the value of life. But they're only geared on the value of their own lives.
Right.
Which is how you can tell, first of all, man, Americans are spoiled motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah.
And we are the most spoiled motherfuckers on earth.
The American
We are so spoiled. We don't know how spoiled we are. We're actually that kid.
Right.
And that's all of us. And so, you know, we can stand with some kind of self-righteous praise or knowledge of this situation or that situation, but we're really not as in touch as other people, you know, ultimately, you know.
I don't think so. I mean, when you have camps in China that are still using slave labor where LeBron James gets his expensive shoes made for 80 cents a piece and then comes back to America, sells them for, he's a billionaire on slave labor. I mean, the connections between the slave labor in China and the NBA are really sickening. And then these people have the nerve to run around the country and act like that they're insulted because slavery 200 years ago, you know? What about slavery today? You know, I don't understand. I don't understand, like, what the disconnect is.
It's exposing them for what they are, dude.
They're totally
and what they are is they desire their misinformation.
Right. It's not misinformation. It's propaganda. It's propaganda. They need their propaganda to inform them so they can be justified in doing their crime wave. Their crime wave is justified by this propaganda. They need it. Yeah.
Here's what is scary. Those are all the people who are not a part of any of that. The Joe Smoes, just like me. And you know, that bomb went off in Benghazi. My heart sunk. I was like, oh my God. Right. Or not Benghazi, I'm sorry. Beirut.
Right. Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God. Think about all the Joe Smoes.
Right.
There were Joe Smoes everywhere. You know. The Joe Smoe fixing a light bulb.
Right.
Somewhere there's a Joe Smoe on a ladder fixing a light bulb. And I thought, fuck, oh my God. What about all the Joe Smoes, you know?
What about the layers?
It seems to me to be a love.
The layers of disinformation on that are just incredible. Like, I don't know if it was a strike, or if from what I heard, maybe they had some Hezbollah bomb making, like missile manufacturing area where they had all this explosive set up, and
here's what they could do.
No one even knows what
exactly what was reported on Main Street, which it could be actually a mistake.
Right.
You know, Chernobyl was a mistake, and it was much more costly in life. You know, it just wasn't as incredible looking.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that detonation that was astonishing. But, hey, listen, it is getting late. Let's link up. I'm gonna go with Randy. Let's link up tomorrow and let's.
China's over here stealing everything they can.
Right. Oh, they have a bunch of our money. They have a bunch of our paper money, which we need to cut that currency off before they come over and spend it all. You know. I'm hoping Trump puts us back onto like the gold standard. We get back into like silver certificates. That's what Kennedy did. He printed silver certificates, and then 3 months later, he was a ghost. And then they turned it back, and they stopped doing it. But if we just print it on silver, man, we could change the value of our money around overnight. While they're all like manipulating their currency, we could go up. You know, a rising tide.
I really don't think that Trump's planning on getting assassinated before he exposes part of the Democratic Party is, and it's a lot of elite, possibly Republicans as well, as being what they are.
I think Nancy Pelosi practically said it. Yeah.
Listen to me. This Epstein stuff is happening behind the scenes this whole time, waiting to pounce on our celebrities, on our politicians. Okay?
I'm praying. I mean,
these people that we are.
Unless Q is a total fake. I mean, that's everyone else is on a totally different planet. We're operating on Q information, and everyone else at CNN, they're acting like there is no Epstein, like nothing ever happened. They don't know what we're talking about, you know? So we actually have to break through that, penetrate that ignorance barrier. It's intense.
Here's what sucks is when you followed the same information, let's say, a year ago.
Right.
Some of it was still broadcast all over the world. You know, so like there's let's just say, for instance, you type in TV, television, and media, right? It used to come up with a list of little girls. Now you can't even see the image on the internet. You have to go through Google, right? You can't even see the image on the internet anymore. Same thing with the index, you know, like SRC .com or whatever it was, right? And the thing is that it was right there in plain sight all along. Nobody really raised too much of a fuss about it, or they were suppressed. But if you look at the comments, they're still there. All the comments are still there. And there are thousands of people who actually saw the images and said, that is fucking disgusting. I cannot believe this is here.
Right.
What the fuck is going on? I'm reporting this immediately.
Well,
what are our authorities doing about this?
It's astonishing.
You just go around thousands of pages. So any evidence that you find on the internet, if you have a computer, put it on your PC. Okay? Or write it down.
Now, from what I understand, I mean, Twitter and Facebook and Google can shadow ban you, and they can control, you know, by their algorithm, the very slightest content and make it disappear, but at the same time, they don't have the ability to take child porn off the internet, so something's wrong.
Look, if you Google Jeffrey Epstein, right, you'll find more pictures of Donald Trump than Jeffrey Epstein.
Right, I mean, yeah, of course. They're trying to push that relationship. From my point of view, Donald Trump knows about Epstein, and that's why he got, you know, like you said, he's the ultimate spy, you know?
Google Donald Trump and Epstein, and then read their business dealings, and then you can do some further research by breaking it down. And then just Google Jeffrey Epstein on Wikipedia, and you'll see that Jeffrey Epstein's association with a number of different groups, and then if you go and look into those groups, you'll see their ties. And they start getting pretty big.
Right.
Right. You can't just see it. It's not like food and different people. It's like the idea that coronavirus is fraud. Well, it is absolutely fraud. It's not really a fraud, but I'm sorry for you.
I believe it. Yeah, it's obvious. It's obvious to me what's happening. It's been obvious since the Mueller report. I mean, the Mueller report.
I stopped wearing my mask, man.
Right.
Stop wearing my mask.
I don't blame you, okay? But the Mueller report showed me that
total absolute fraud. And they talked about it at the World Economic Summit in Davos. So if you have a moment, look up the World Economic Summit in Davos and watch it. I know it's the one you left, and it's a bunch of these leftist criminals telling you what they're planning on doing.
Right.
With COVID-19. Okay, they're talking about all of it. They're talking about pandemics, they're talking about how Trump's unprepared, and then at the end, Trump stands up and he says, oh, I'm Donald Trump, and I don't believe any of you motherfuckers.
Right.
We will not be bullied by a bunch of you globalists. We are a nationalist country.
Right.
We are America. And they really is it for us, dude. Okay? And so, I know it's true, and you know, God willing, he lives another, you know, 4 years, man.
Well, he's got the right marshaled around him, but if he's an insider and if it's a game, I mean, we have no reason to trust our government or trust past presidents, you know. But what is encouraging is that the Bushes.
Trump is not a government. He is not past president.
Right. Yeah, all the past presidents hate him, so it makes it obvious to me that
what it's looking for was the things that the American people were looking for, which is why he was elected to begin with. We weren't looking for a presidential candidate. We weren't looking for a politician. We were leaning on the Donald Trump. And half of the people who saw, most of the people who said they wanted it the most, right, turned coast on us immediately. All the Democrats, so us, we were Democrats.
yeah, the Confederacy. The Confederacy.
Was the most strongest. So when it came around and we said, really, what about our freedom? Dude, this is not that bad. What about our freedom? We realized we were Republicans, right?
I did, ultimately. It did take a little while.
It took a while for the Democrats to fully reveal their plans to us, and then we got worked up with, oh my God, look what they plan on doing to us. They're trying to boycott.
Dude, if Hillary Clinton would have got in there, we would be dead. We would be smoked out right now, man. We would be toast. They would have already. We would already been not have working for a couple of years. I don't know where we would be. We would have been off in the camps or whatever the plan was. But they had planned to. We were going to be China 2 or whatever it was. We were done for with Hillary, you know. And they had so much to hide, you know. And I think that the fact that Trump won this year when we vote, he's got to get 70 or 80 million. It's got to be a total landslide.
What I want you to understand is that the silent majority is no real, but we think it is. It sounds like a polls thing, but polls are down in cities.
Yeah, I don't trust polls. Yeah, polls are retarded. I mean, and it's the same people, and you know, everyone's so power hungry. Everyone is trying to use their own presuppositions. But hey, Jacob, let me get off. Yeah.